How's it going?
Great.
Thanks for being here. That's awesome that you guys are here and showing up on these evenings to learn about real estate and accelerate your career. So really appreciate you being here. My name's Chris Mascarino, as Tina mentioned. I am out of Keller Williams Elevate. My wife and I run a small team, and I've been doing this since 2017. And it's been life-changing for me, so I love it. Hopefully it has been the same for you. And if you're just getting into real estate, I look forward to your success and you experiencing those same life-changing things that real estate has to offer. So before I jump in, can you guys all kind of tell me where we're at in our real estate career? So a year or less, can you raise your hand? Okay, about half the room. How about 3 years or less? 3 years, 5 years, 5 years, and more than 5 years. Okay, so everybody, was that a hand raise or? All right. 2 months, is that what you said? Okay, good for you. All right, awesome. So everybody is with under 5 years. So who has not done a deal yet? And don't be shy, it's okay. All right, awesome. So this is going to be a really important piece amongst everything else you've learned so far is negotiating the deal. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So I'm going to make this very casual. I would love interaction. Feel free to chime in, ask questions. There's a slide. We'll kind of touch on some of this stuff. We may not get through everything that's up there, but I want you to get the most out of this. So I'm going to talk more real life experiences and how to structure and negotiate deals when you're on the buy side and when you're on the sell side. Sound good? Cool. So I'll do this TCPA guidelines. Make sure you're following the right guidelines and not calling people that are on the do not call list. Okay. Skip through some of this. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to be talking about. What is negotiation? The 3 P's of negotiation, some tips, and we'll do some recaps and ahas. So first is, what is negotiation? So who can, before I go, sorry guys. What is negotiation? Who can share that with me or answer that? Anybody? Do we like to negotiate? You going to buy a car? Are you taking sticker price? Nope. No. Are we negotiating pretty much all the time? Who has kids? We're negotiating with our kids every single day, aren't we? All right, so it's a part of our lives. We're doing it all the time. So why not get good at it and really understand how to make it a win-win situation for both parties? And that's what it's all about. If you're representing a buyer and I'm representing a seller, what's our common goal that we have?
So that get the house buyer.
Get that house sold, right? We want to do everything that we can do to make sure it's a win-win for my client and your client. Negotiating is not something to be avoided or feared. It's an everyday part of life. So I mentioned it already, but what of the Y4C2Ts, does everybody know what these are, by the way?
No.
First time seeing this?
Yeah.
Okay, wow. All right, great. So this is Keller Williams' belief system. And this is called the Y4C2Ts. So when we're talking about negotiations, there's a couple of these that really stand out that we want to follow. And what do you think they are? And go ahead and just shout it out.
Teamwork.
Teamwork, okay. Tell me more about teamwork.
Well, as you just said, you want both sides to work together to get the household.
Yep, love it. What else?
Communication.
Integrity. Who said integrity? Okay, tell me about integrity.
Oh, I think that's okay.
I can do.
You want to make sure that, I mean, it's very important that you show integrity when you're making the negotiations.
Yeah.
Being committed to your client, also being truthful.
Yes.
doing the right thing.
That's right. And I think that's one of the biggest ones and most important ones that we need to keep in front of ourselves all the time. And I think that is the one that gets lost with a lot of agents and people in general out there. So if you can keep that in mind when you're doing negotiations, it's going to go a long way. What other ones? Trust. Tell me about trust. Who said that? Oh.
They trust you and they'll trust you the whole way.
I love that.
Create the deal, negotiate the deal, win the deal.
Yeah. Great. How about one more? Important one.
Communication. Win-win.
Both of those were very important. All right. I lied. There was two of them. Win-win or no deal and communication. Seek first to understand. Also a super important one when we're talking about negotiation. So great. So here's a different way negotiations can work. We get an offer, we get an accepted offer, and it goes to the closing table. We have no issues whatsoever. It's the smoothest transaction you have ever experienced. Everybody high fives at the end and you get your check and you move on to the next. Would that be great? Has anybody had a transaction like that that has had deals? Yes, yeah. I mean, they happen very rarely though, right? Typically, we're going to get an offer. We're going to have it rejected or we're going to counter it. We're going to negotiate. They're either going to accept or reject, and we're going to continue that process until we have an accepted deal and get to the closing table, okay? And throughout that process, there's a lot of different timeframes that negotiations can take place. So in the initial contract, when offers are being presented, there's going to be negotiations. During inspections, there could be negotiations. After an appraisal, if it falls short, there could be another negotiation. So there's a lot of times that we could be negotiating parts of the deal. So who are we negotiating with? So you as the agent, you're representing the buyer or seller. You are going to be negotiating with the other agent, okay? So we want to understand some key points of what to do when understanding where the negotiations start. So common points of negotiation. So other than price, what are some of the other things that we're going to be negotiating? And just shout them out.
Time, closing date,
Is that what you meant by time? Yep.
possession,
Possession, great.
title, inspection.
Title, who said title company? Yeah, we want to. Inspections. What else?
Warranty,
What's that?
warranty.
Home warranty could be one.
Sessions.
Concessions, yep. Stuff that conveys with the property.
Earnest money.
Earnest money. I think we nailed pretty much all of them. There might be a few we're missing, but you guys got it. So let's talk about the 3 P's of negotiations. So it's prepare, present, and position. So prepare is preparation is the key to building confidence and ensuring a smooth negotiation process. Present, move into negotiating process to present the offer, and then position, move both parties closer until you have a full agreement. So the one thing that's most important here is understanding your client's motivation, okay? You know, if you just got a buyer and you show them a house and you haven't really been able to build that relationship yet, you need to start somewhere. You need to really understand what's most important to them with purchasing a home, okay? Is it the price? Is it timing? Is it something else about the property that they have to have? It's really understanding their motivation and why they need to get that house. Maybe they're moving from out of state. Because that's going to help tee you up when you go to write an offer and talk to a listing agent and convey why it's so important that they get this house. With me so far? All right. So motivation. We always want to be professional. We talked about that, right? Be professional. We're after the same goal. We want to close this deal. We want to get everybody to the closing table and everybody be happy. So be professional. There's no reason why we can disagree on things, but there's no reason we have to get into arguments or let our egos get in the way and say, I'm right, you're wrong, those kind of things. And it does and can happen sometimes. I try to avoid that at all costs. Like that does nobody any good. It's wasting clients' times, it's wasting your time, and ultimately it's not doing anything for the buyer or seller except spending more money for them and costing them time. So let's go into prepare. So as I just talked about, is know your goal and know your client. Want to think ahead. So when you're establishing your relationship with your client, what are some of the questions you're trying to uncover for, let's say you're representing the seller. What are some questions that you're going to try to uncover that is very important for them, so you know how to approach offers as they come in? Okay. Yeah, so it's, and something like, the question I ask all the time is, what's more important for you, getting your house sold quickly or putting the most money in your pocket? Thank you. What else?
Concessions,
Concessions. Tell me more about concessions.
whether they're giving concessions for the other,
As far as commissions go?
agent, are they willing to give concessions to the buyer?
Now, and that is absolutely something that we have to find out ahead of time, but that should already be established going into it. But thank you, that's a great point. What else do we want to uncover?
How soon do they need to sell? Like, are they moving or something, job transfer? Like, do they need to go or do they have some?
Yeah. Now, do you guys ever ask what title company they prefer? Okay. Some people it's important for them. They might have a relationship with the title company. Now, is it a point that we're going to lose a deal over? No, typically no, unless that client has to use it for some reason. I'm going to always push for the title company of our choice. But if a buyer or seller is pushing back really hard, I'm not going to lose a deal over that. It's not worth it. Unless you've had some really, really bad experiences with that title company, which has happened. So, what other things? What about items in the house?
Update.
What's that?
Update in the house.
No, things that'll stay with the house, appliances, fixtures, TVs, mounts, things like that. We want to make sure we know what is staying and what's not ahead of time. So if that comes up in an offer, we don't even have to go back to our clients sometimes. You say, hey, you know what, that's not being offered. And 9 times out of 10, they will take it out of the contract. Now, if they start pushing back and say, no, well, they really want that, then, go ahead and talk to your client and see if they're going to accept that or not. Set clear expectations. This is a super important one when establishing negotiations with both buyer and seller. Now, I'm going to talk listing side for a second. Is when I sit down with a seller and we're talking about the process and what to expect, and inspections come up, one of the first things I say is, look, even in a new construction home, they're going to find something that's wrong with the house. Now, it's going to be minor, but there's no perfect house out there, okay? If the house is a little bit older, they're probably going to find a few more things. I always set the expectation to have the seller's budget $2-3 grand at minimum, just in case repairs do come up. And it sets that ahead of time so they're not shocked by it when the inspection comes up and you have to have a totally different conversation now and try to save the deal over a couple $1,000. With me so far? So that's just one way we can set clear expectations around inspections, around time frame. Possession, I think you said possession, right? Possession's a huge one. Making sure our sellers know that we could get a buyer that wants immediate, 30 days or less, or they may need more time, and vice versa. You might be working with buyers that have to sell a house that need more time. So it's setting those clear expectations of what to expect when you get into a negotiation and what the outcome could be, and giving them a few different ones so they understand how that may lay out. Okay. Be informed. You want to know as much as you can about every situation, about your buyers, about your sellers, however much information you can get out of them so you are more prepared when you're talking to other agents, the better. Now, we're going to talk about communication here for a second, because this is one of my pet peeves. And I know it's what a lot of agents do, and it's okay. but there's a lot of negotiations done through text messaging. So how many of you negotiate through text message? And there's no, I'm not judging, but how many of you do? Well, that's awesome. Why do you think it's a bad idea to negotiate through text message?
Because of the voice emotions. Sometimes through text message, people can be, I don't know, offended because specific words in text messages.
Yeah,
And you didn't mean that, you know?
yeah, go ahead.
Things can get misconstrued. and
Yeah.
also threatening.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have tonality on a text message, right? You have a short little script that you're sending over and you're expecting some type of response. The best thing to do is build that relationship with the agents, right? You're building a relationship with the agents. You do a really solid, clean deal on this transaction, and you go and see them on another house that you're about to do a transaction on, or you're writing an offer, or they're writing an offer on your listing. You think that's gonna make a difference? Absolutely. It's gonna make a huge difference. I can't tell you how many offers went my way because of the relationship I had with that other agent. And it plays a huge factor because we know that we're gonna get to the closing table and we know that it's going to be a relatively smooth deal. Because the one thing I've learned is you cannot negotiate with unreasonable people. And if you have unreasonable agents and unreasonable clients, it's going to be very challenging to negotiate that offer. And anytime I get in that situation, sometimes those deals fall apart. Now, not all the time, but sometimes. And that's the last thing we want to do. Obey the laws. Definitely obey the laws. If you are unsure about something, ask. Ask your broker, ask another agent. I prefer you to go ask your broker, but make sure you're not crossing any lines. It's happening a lot right now and people are getting in trouble for it. So just be super careful, cross your T's, dot your I's, ask your broker. Okay. The last is, which is really important, is know the documents inside and out. As much as you've done deals, wrote offers, seen contracts, you're going to receive contracts that are totally different. Make sure you read through them. I've made that mistake before where I thought I knew the contract and I missed a couple key points. It ended up costing an extra, I think it was like $1,200 or some dollars because I missed it. I ended up eating the cost because I wasn't going to put that on my client. And I won't do that ever again. That was a very expensive lesson. And I make sure I read all of my contracts and all the details to ensure I'm not missing anything. And the biggest one that I miss a lot is, and I still do this and I need to stop, is because they make those those damn boxes at the top of the contract so small with those boxes that things are staying. I can't stand it. So sometimes I miss, like they have something thrown in there and I'm like, oh shoot. So I got to go back before we sign contracts and say, hey, sorry, I missed this. It's not staying. Make sure you're reviewing the contracts. Don't make those mistakes that I've made. I've made them for you. Don't do it again. Questions here. I don't want to move on until you guys have any questions about this kind of stuff. Or comments, thoughts, situations that you've been in that you want to ask about. No, nothing?
When do we ask about that the properties and the probate, or
Say that again.
when do we ask the client about that the properties and the probate, or
That should, if you're representing the seller. So if you're representing the seller, that should be a question when you're on the listing appointment. Yeah. So typically they're going to tell you if it's in probate or not. But one of the questions I always ask is there anything going on the property, any liens or anything we need to know about so we can legally sell this home? So it's always a good question to ask when you're at the listing appointment. Great question, though. Anything else? So let's go into present then. Yeah, go ahead.
Should you ask your client, the point of sale is always important depending on where you live.
Yeah.
Some properties can sell without having a point of sale. So at the beginning, is it smart to say, get a point of sale before you live in Middleburg Heights or something?
Yeah.
Require that,
Yeah, absolutely.
so just,
So on the listing appointment, I'm always asking if you schedule the point of sale yet.
okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I didn't sell my private and I didn't have that off, because I had to check.
Well, you should have had to eat that because they have to do that no matter what. They have to schedule the point of sale. Now, they don't have to make the repairs.
Yeah.
They can convey that to the buyer. If the buyer chooses that. Another point of negotiation. But yeah, that's something, if I'm in one of those cities, like, are you familiar with the point of sale? Have you ordered it? If not, do this right now, whether you use me or not, get it ordered. All right, good question. Anything else?
I just have one comment on that. So,
Yeah.
keep in mind that if the buyer is used point of sale or the seller,
Mhm.
if they do not make the repairs, a lot of times you have to do 1.5 times
True.
the amount of the repairs into escrow, and they have to be prepared for that. And it should usually come from their agent as opposed to later on in the transaction, so that they're fully prepared for that upfront.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you. Did you guys hear her? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So we kind of just talked about this. This is some purposeful questions that are going to provide these things. And what their main goal is. Again, go back to motivation with all your negotiations. And sometimes, have you had this happen before, is where you have the initial conversation with your client up front. I'm going to use sellers as this example. And they say, okay, well, we need to be here. If we get here, we're okay. And we want to be out by this time. And then you get an offer and it's really close to that. And they're like, well, we can't do that. Does anybody have that happen? Okay. And then you have to go back to their motivation and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you remember when we sat down and had this conversation and you told me that A, B, and C? Well, we have that right now. So what has changed since that conversation? And let them talk. And then you'll uncover it and you'll meet somewhere, hopefully in a happy medium, to get that deal. Always ask open-ended questions. What additional information should I know? What is important about whatever the thing is? How do you feel about that? These are 3 great open-ended questions to always ask. I love this one too. What would happen if? So Mr. and Mr. Seller, what would happen if we didn't get the price that you needed? Or what would happen if we don't get your house sold by November 1st? It starts getting them to think of the different scenarios that could potentially happen. Because right now, what do you think they're all hearing? Sell? You're going to sell for over asking, hot market. Is that changing right now?
Yep.
It's changing. We have houses that have been on the market that would have sold in 2 days, even earlier in the summer. You know, but we set that expectation going in, and they're okay right now. So again, going back to setting those expectations is super important. We're not doing this. Okay. Unless you guys want to. You want to do role playing? No. Like that?
No one else did.
I know. All right, so then we're gonna present. So best practices, call the other agent. Love that one. So we're gonna call, we're not gonna text. Now, will you get into some text messaging later on? Yes, it's gonna happen, but the initial conversation should be through a phone call. And again, you can hear the tonality. You can, I mean, for me, the way they respond to questions determines how I'm going to move forward now. And I have a plan of different scenarios based on what they're going to say, so I know what direction to go in. So don't go into it blind. Have a plan put together on how you're going to handle that negotiation, depending on how they may respond. And you're going to know a couple different ways they're going to respond. The nonverbal cues like pauses and voice qualities. What's the rule of thumb? Whoever speaks first, what? Loses. That's all right. Whoever speaks first loses. So give your negotiation, give your counter, give your offer, whatever it may be, and then shut the heck up. Let them talk. There's been countless times where the other agent negotiated against themselves for me, and I actually got a better deal out of it for my clients because they just wouldn't stop talking. So just control, and I know some of us love talking and we love being around people and love being out there, but sometimes just less is more here. And that's number 3, keep quiet. Listen carefully to what's important to the other party. So you're going to hear things that the other agent's going to say. Now, a lot of times it's irrelevant or not important, or maybe they're just trying to out negotiate you. So you can lean into that more. Tell me more about that. Why is that important for them? Ask those same questions. Don't just say, okay. Stay calm and relaxed is another super important one. There's no reason to get our emotions involved. Once we let our emotions get involved, we've lost. It's over. I've done it. Terrible. Sucks. Lost deals over it. I won't do that again. There's too many deals out there to be had. You're going to have hundreds or thousands of deals in your career. Losing our emotions over one, it's not going to help that situation. So take the emotion out of it, treat it as a business transaction, and do what you're there to do for your client. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do for your client. And that's who I put first. I'm thinking of them. What do they need to get out of this right now? And then I go to work and do the best I can to get them what they need. Oh, God, I'm ahead of this. Focus on the customer's needs and then give your offer the best chance. So that's where the relationship building comes in. And talking to that agent, buttering them up, making them feel that this is going to be a smooth, easy transaction. Any hiccups come up, hey, we'll figure it out. We're going to get to the closing table together. Inspection stuff, now we're looking for just major things. You know, whatever you can do that your clients authorize you to say to make that other agent feel comfortable that, hey, you're the right agent. I want to work with you because I know we're going to get to the closing table. And should we have any issues come up, we're going to problem solve this together and get it to the closing table. Look at ourselves as solution-based. You're problem solvers. There's nothing as agents with a deal we cannot figure out unless the other party is just totally unreasonable and is not going to hear options. And that could happen. I'm going to pause here. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
I think that last one is a good point. Like, you want to make sure that they know you're on the same team.
Yeah.
Like, it's not you against them. It's, hey, we're doing this together so we can both get through this. That's so important. I hear it all the time from different agents in my role. Just like, hey, this person's being really shitty to me. Like, okay, well, don't work with them then. It's a team thing.
Yeah.
Just know that.
Yeah, and thanks, Ricky. And again, you might run into this agent on another deal in a month, in a year. I'll tell you, I have some that stand out where if that agent walks into a listing of mine, if I don't have any other offers, okay, I guess I'm stuck. But if there's other offers on the table, I'm letting my client know what a pain in the ass they would work with. To say, hey, these people are super difficult. Here's what happened to me on my last deal with them. Your decision, but I'm just warning you right now, we might run into some challenges. So play nice. There's no reason. There's enough business out there. There's enough homes to sell, we don't need to be mean to each other. That gets us nowhere at all. Anything else? Any questions, comments?
I think that's important too. I run across, at my full-time job, I run across a lot of people, that say, you know, I work with a realtor, she get on my nerves. It's like, I don't know if I wanna get on my nerves. I just rather you not, because if I get on your nerves, I'm sure you get on mine.
Yeah.
So we got a good match.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just like that, but I ran into, two yesterday and one today. I'm like, how do they get to that point of getting on your nerves? So I mean, I've had clients get on my nerves, they don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, clients are gonna get on our nerves.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as we don't get on there.
That is, I think when it comes to that point, people think you're against each other, you're
Right.
not working for the, but towards the same goal.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's so important. And even if that agent is upsetting you with certain things, don't show it, right? Let go of that outcome. Like, that's the best thing you can do, is take the emotion out, let go of the outcome, do and negotiate according to how your clients want to, and leave it at that. Like, that's all you can do it sometimes. Anything else?
Quiet,
Was that?
quiet,
What, say it again?
quiet plan.
Yeah, quiet, it is. It's 5:30, we just ate. Everybody's ready to take a nap and have a glass of wine. Am I moving too fast, or is this okay?
No, it's good.
Good. You guys getting stuff out of this?
Yes.
Okay, so then we position ourselves, so we acknowledge and affirm common ground, ask what and how questions, know that positioning is a process, and know when to walk away. And there are times when you do have to walk away, and it sucks, but it's going to happen. And there's, I'll give you an example. I had a investment deal that looked like a great house. I think it was like $110,000. And we went through the inspection and just stuff came up one after the next, and stuff you couldn't see just from the walkthrough. There was major foundational issues. There was termites that were eating away wood that, unless you picked up this certain area, you would never have seen them. It was a mess. So he was gonna be in like an additional $30,000 on top of what it already needed. I said, well, look, man, if they're not gonna budge on this, you have to walk away from this. Like, this is a money pit. I don't want to see you get stuck in it. So we did go back to the agent and said, hey, we'll still do this, but we need to be here. And here's why. And she's like, I get it. I agree with you. They're not going to do it. I said, sorry, then we got to walk. It's never going to hurt. Like, if somebody came to me as a listing agent from a buyer and they had real reason behind why they were trying to get something off, we're absolutely going to entertain that. Because if it came up now, it's going to come up again. And that's something that our sellers need to understand too. Is like, yeah, you could get the buyer that just doesn't care, but is that really that likely? Aren't they going to do inspections? Aren't they going to look at the same things? Yeah. So if we go back to the market right now, Mr. and Mr. Seller, do you think we're going to get the same offer or more? Or do you think we're going to get less? Yeah, we're probably going to get less. And then we're going to have to deal with this situation again. It's going to come even more off the price. So what is in your best interest right now? Yeah, let's move forward with the deal and get this done. So, but know when to walk away. Again, there are times to walk away. Buyers are just being unreasonable. If you're representing the seller and they're just, again, you can't negotiate with unreasonable people. So if they're being that unreasonable, you have backup offers that have showed interest. If you have been in multiple offer situation, all right, you can play a little stronger. But if you have nothing else on the table, showings have been weak, and that's the only thing that you've had in 30 days, you gotta have a real heart-to-heart with your sellers and say, hey, here's the alternative. Questions? Feeling good about negotiating? All right, so tell me some ahas, some takeaways so far. Go ahead.
I like the idea of budgeting $2,000 to $3,000 with the seller just ahead of time.
Yeah.
I set expectations, but I didn't say to them, perhaps you should set aside.
Yeah,
I advise you to set aside that amount to cover inspection.
that's awesome. Yeah. And I actually I have a house that we just put under contract. And we were negotiating back and forth with the buyers. And then we got the deal done. And I said, hey, we still have inspections. And they said to me, well, you already told us to budget about 2,000 to 3,000, right? I'm like, yes, I did. So be ready for that. And it is gonna happen. They're gonna have 2 to 3, if not more. So, but they're already prepared. So I love that. What else?
I like that. Some buyers, some sellers don't realize that part or buyers, sometimes they don't realize.
Right.
Then they, some of them want to back out when it comes to that time. So just being realistic up front.
Yeah.
That's why I asked about PO too.
Yeah.
I want to be able to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. What about negotiating earnest money? Does anybody negotiate that? You've done deals so far. Has anybody negotiated earnest money? Yeah. Can you tell me the scenario?
So I just know we had a standard like 1%, and we were on a deal that was 400,000, and they needed 10,000 for us to do it. I asked why. They said that's what the client wanted. They
Yeah.
would give me a reason why, but
So did you do it or no?
my client wanted the house. We did it.
Okay. See,
Yeah, but we did it after inspection. We agreed that we wouldn't do
Okay.
it for after inspection.
see, and that's something else you can negotiate is timing of earnest money delivery. That's awesome. Good job. Earnest money is a interesting thing, and I won't go too deep into it, but in other states, and I don't know if you know which ones they are, but I think it's like South Carolina, North Carolina, some of those states, they have earnest money that is non-refundable, which I love. Like, I think that's awesome, and I think that's how it should be. I do, and you know why? Because there's nothing that holds a seller and buyer to a contract. I've had so many deals that have fallen apart, and there's no repercussions. So yes, I absolutely think earnest money should be non-refundable. Go ahead.
This isn't my divorce gonna happen. The buyer has to wait 2 years to get it back.
And that's the other thing, they can just walk, and even if they don't sign the release, 2 years later, they'll get the earnest money back. So if you're representing the seller, I mean, there really isn't that much protection for them. I will fight to get that earnest money all day long. But at the end of the day, if the buyer doesn't sign that release, if you get your brokers involved, then hopefully you can get something.
So I had a agent not want to approve that. So when we had the inspection, the house was shifting off the foundation.
Yeah.
So the buyer said no. She was like, no, you're not getting your iron like that. I'm thinking, what?
Yeah, I mean, those are reasons to get it back.
Yeah, she ended up,
Yeah.
but we had to go to the top of the chain, and I'm thinking, give the man his money back. I think, and the house is still on the market. That was like, yeah.
Now, there are some good reasons why people should back out and get their earnest money back. I'm totally okay with that. But when there's the situations where they just walk, that's a whole nother story. But be careful with that too, with the earnest money negotiations. Like, I have some people that write $500 or $1,000 on earnest money. Well, that's just like, anybody's okay with walking away for most people will walk away for $500 or $1,000. So try to get as much as you can without being unreasonable. So if I like the 1% rule. You should be at least probably shooting for that. And this is my opinion. So you guys do what you want, but that's what I always try to shoot for, is the 1%. Just so if something does go awry, the seller's getting something. So we'll just look to protect your sellers. What other ahas? Can we talk about possession and closing dates? So depending on the scenario, with inspections, or I'm sorry, with closing dates and possessions. Are you guys still seeing a lot of buyers asking for, or I'm sorry, a lot of sellers asking for additional possession time? Still?
It's vacant.
Okay.
Like, a lot of houses I'm selling are vacant, so they don't care, but, and they're living in it.
And what kind of possession times are you seeing? Like a week, couple days,
I just had one that was 45 days.
45 days? That's a long one. Are you filling out the seller occupancy addendum after that? Okay, cool.
They have that rent free.
They did.
Wow.
They did.
Yeah.
He did.
They wanted it bad enough. Were you in multiples? Yeah. What city?
Coma.
Okay.
Armageddon is on fire.
I know. Armageddon, I love it. That's a great sandwich too. It was a great sandwich. So I just going through this, make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
From a title standpoint, with, anybody who has stayed in the house longer, if there is a rent that is being applied, or if there is a security deposit being applied, please read your contract. I'm not sure how Livings reads, but, I have seen it before where the contract, read that after the seller leaves the property, 10 days later, the buyer will then send the security deposit.
Hmm.
Please just know, you need to read the fine print, because nowhere in that line does it say the title company will send the funds to the buyer or seller, however it is.
Yeah.
So if you want to have a security deposit that is being held by your title company, you do have to do some type of an addendum that is directing us to hold the funds with a specific reason and for a length of time and a directive, and tell us, I mean, we kind of have to dig in, we can get our attorneys involved.
So we just did this with you guys, if you remember. So we had a long one too. I think it was almost 60 days, actually. We had the seller occupancy addendum signed. But what the buyer did, which I will recommend this for you guys. If you have a buyer where the seller is going to stay in the house for a long period of time, to have a set dollar amount set aside in escrow in case of any damages at a final walkthrough. So we do 2 final walkthroughs. We do one before closing, and then we do another one before possession. And then one before possession is when we will sign off and release that money back to the seller, as long as it's in good shape. Go ahead.
We asked them to get renters insurance,
That's something they should have no matter what too, yeah.
especially if it's over like 30 days. If it's a week, it's kind of hard, and 2 weeks, it's kind of hard, but anything that's like 30 days or more.
Yeah, but
it's
that,
definitely-
the thing with the insurance is that's gonna cover bigger things. So like we had I think it was $2,500 that we held back from the seller, because we were in a situation not too long ago where it was a long possession time frame, and the seller left the house in complete mess. We, as the agent, came out of pocket like $800. The seller put another 15. They took remotes to fans and never shipped them back. So they had to get new fans and 4 rooms. So that was like almost $1,000 right there, because they couldn't find, they don't sell remotes, universal remotes for fans. We found that out. So make sure if they have remotes for fans, they're leaving them. They didn't patch any of the walls. They left giant holes in the walls. And partially was our fault because we did a final walkthrough before closing. And then possession was like 2 weeks later, and the house was in great shape, but we didn't do that possession walkthrough. And if we would have done that, we would have found the holes, we would have found the fan stuff. Well, we got the keys, we walked in and we were all shocked.
So if you do that that walkthrough for possession, and you did find those things,
That money's in escrow, say, so we can now take that money and use that for all the repairs or anything else you need.
okay, so if you not doing that final walkthrough, that money was already released?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It wasn't a client of mine, but a friend of mine did her final walkthrough and the property was vacant and a pipe burst.
Oh,
So she
yeah,
walked in and had water up to her ankles on her final walkthroughs. So she got her entire place, like she didn't give possession for like another 4 months, but she got her entire place remodeled and redone on their insurance. So it's really, really important that
Yeah.
you do your final walkthroughs.
yeah. Even if you think it's a pristine house and there's nothing gonna come up to the final walkthrough, as close as to closing as you can. But just, and you guys don't have to do this, just suggestions. But if you have a long possession period, I will always encourage you to try to get some money put in escrow to protect your buyer if something happens. Okay. What other questions do you guys have? Do you have any specific negotiating questions with buyer, with seller that I did not answer or go over?
Question. Let's say it's investment property.
Yeah.
And the buyer buying the property and it's occupied, right? So regarding the deposit that seller already have. So how we can get that?
That the seller has?
Yeah,
So that'll be handled through title.
title, okay.
Yeah. So title sends the seller a sheet they fill out. It says, what was your security deposit for each unit? And then they collect that and transfer it to
But you
the.
should talk to the title, kind of remind them or it's a
No.
standard procedure.
No, when it's an investment, you guys are already doing that, right?
Standard
Yeah.
procedure.
Yeah, great question though.
Do you,
You know, I don't know, but it's probably a good thing to do. Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna hurt. Is there anything wrong with that, Ricky? Can you do that?
Not that I know.
Yeah.
Talk to your broker.
Yeah, talk to your broker, but I think that's actually a great idea. Yeah. Any scenarios you want to walk through? Because I mean, there's different things. No deal will be the same. I promise you that. There's a lot of different scenarios. There's a lot of different ways to negotiate. There's a lot of things that come up that you don't even think about that you're gonna be like, oh, shoot, I should have thought of that, but you can't think of everything.
Question. Investment property, right?
Yeah.
It's advertised duplex. The buyer will be the lender. Lender find out that's actually the duplex. Legal duplex with another unit right there. And finance fall through because lender says, I cannot.
Wait, it's a duplex and you found out it's a what?
Oh. It's a duplex.
Oh, triplex, okay.
but
And then you found out it was a duplex on the
It's a
county.
legal duplex.
Yeah.
But they have another unit on the third floor.
Yeah.
And the lender find out that it's actually duplex, not a triplex. And, but the whole deal was made because it's a rent and everything as a triplex.
Yeah.
But lenders, they will not touch.
Yeah.
So if the deal falls through because of that, can the buyer get the earnest money?
Yeah, they absolutely should, because the seller should be disclosing what type of property it is. But you can also look that up before you put the offerings. If you pull the county records, tax records, it's gonna tell you right there what it's categorized as, a triplex or a duplex. So yes, the seller should be disclosing what it actually is. And you as the agent can also be protecting your client by making sure that it checks the box. So, but it gets tricky with some of these investment properties sometimes.
Where do you verify when there's a duplex or triplex, like we,
Just go to the county tax. Yeah. county.
But if it's advertising triplex, like a million, listing and everything.
Yeah, that's where you go to the county tax records, because it'll say duplex, and that's where then I would question the agent and say, hey, yeah, this is a triplex, but it's a duplex. So,
Do you have any particular tactics that you use before and you notice like this is really good negotiation or something that you use often?
it's a great question. I personally really try to build that relationship with the agent. Like that amongst all the other stuff, starting there, building the rapport is huge. I've had agents, I've been in multiple offers and our offer wasn't even the best, but I've had agents that said, you've been so amazing with communicating. My client wants to go with yours because they feel comfortable how this is going to go. So that above all, and just again, just treat people how you want to be treated. Like if you're on the other side of the deal, do you want somebody being an asshole to you? No. Sorry, no, I'm not supposed to swear, but it's true. Like, just be friendly, create win-win situations, and 99% of the time, the deals are going to get to the closing table. Here's one thing I will say though. Do your best to keep the deal together at all costs. There's no reason you can't figure out a way around something or how to get it done. And I'll give you an example of one. We had one that was listed by an agent. They had it under contract 3 times, and 3 times that deal fell through. The seller got my name from a friend that lived down the street, called us. She interviewed myself and 2 other agents because she didn't want to make the same mistake again. We got the listing, and I set the right expectations. Their house wasn't in perfect condition, and it's in a good neighborhood and needed some work. Said, look, here's what's going to happen. We're probably going to run into scenarios with inspections. You already had an inspection done, so you know what might come up. We just need to be prepared for that. And if it comes up, here's how we're going to address it. And I gave her the options. They said, cool. Well, we got it into multiple offers in the first weekend. This agent had it under contract 3 times, couldn't keep the deal together. We took an FHA offer, which all of us knew was risky because of some of the things that were wrong with the house. But I said, look, no matter what happens, we have enough wiggle room with the financials right now that even if there's $5,000, you're still coming out ahead. I go, even if it's $8,000, you're still coming out ahead. I go, so, but we're going to do whatever we can to minimize that cost. So we went through the inspection, and inspection came back with a few things, and we negotiated like $1,500 towards their closing costs. I was like, oh, cool. That wasn't that bad. But then we had to get through the appraisal, and that's where we got nailed. The appraisal came back and said we had to do a bunch of things. It ended up being around, I think, $4,000. And they were kind of freaking out. I said, look, here's your alternative. Like, we already talked about this. You knew that this could potentially come up. This is the highest offer you've had out of all the offers that you've had, even with the other agent. So already you're going to be netting more, even with this $1,500 we already gave them and the $4,000. I go, so do you really want to chance it and go back to the market, or do you want to push this through? And I helped with everything, like as far as setting all the contractors up. I set them up with all the contractors, so they didn't even have to think about it. And that also was something that helped them continue moving forward, is that it was just, they just had to unfortunately write the checks, but I set it up for them. And it's that concierge service. Like if you have those people in your pocket, you can help your sellers to take that stress off of them. Try to do that for them, because that's going to help with your negotiations with your client and with the other buyer. And the buyer's agent knew too. We already had the conversation before the appraisal, preparing both sides that stuff may come up in the appraisal. So not only did I set the expectation with my sellers, the agent and I were setting expectations with each other and how we were going to work through this if something comes up. And it made the deal so much smoother, and we got through it. And those clients are fans, raving fans, if you've heard that term before in real estate. And they will refer me business anytime they hear real estate. So how we react in those situations. Now, I don't know what the scenario was with the agent. They had 3 offers on the table beforehand and every single one of them fell through. There was no way in hell I was going to let that happen over some minor repairs that weren't that big of a deal. So fight for your clients.
Chris, would it be, not a good idea to ask your client, like, can you tell me what happened with the other deals?
Yeah, they didn't have an answer.
Okay.
They knew some of the things that came up with the inspection, but when they would talk to the agent, they said that they had no idea why it fell apart. Like they got no feedback from the other agent. So there's clearly a communication issue somewhere. So last thing we're gonna do is negotiation tips. We've already talked about a lot of these, so I'll roll through them, but be professional. Keep your goal in mind, your client's goal in mind. Pay attention to your communication and tone with anyone involved in the transaction. Talk to them about that a few times. Continually refer to your client's motivation when speaking with them. Another super important thing. Mr. and Mr. Seller, you want to be in your new house by August 1st. Do you want to push that back 30 days or continue moving forward with this deal? You know, a lot of sellers don't understand the cost of 30 days. That could be costing an offer, that's taxes, that's another mortgage payment, that's utilities. They're not thinking of all those costs when we're looking at a few $1,000s in repairs. So it adds up a lot more than a couple $1,000s in repairs. Don't reveal too much. Listen more than talk. Keep your client's motivation close to your chest. We talked about that. Don't talk too much. Let the other agent talk. And don't be attached to the outcome. Let go of the outcome. It's out of your hands. Do everything you can do for your clients to get to the closing table and get it done. But you can't control what's going to happen. You can do everything in your power to keep it together, but at the end of the day, the deal falls apart and you did everything you could. Just let go of the outcome. That goes with anything.
Yeah, I completely understand.
No, it was a great question. Go ahead.
Along the lines of education, when clients want to overprice their home.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? Cause I like that. See what they.
So a lot of it is emotional driven. And a lot of it is, oh, well, I saw my neighbor's house that sold for X amount of dollars. I just back mine with data. So I bring the comps, I bring the showing time data, I bring the trends data. So I'm showing them all the different graphs and everything that's happening in and around their house. And I'm letting them decide. I put it all in front of them. I say, okay, based on what I just showed you, where would you price your home? Yeah. And the other question I ask them a lot is, okay, how much would you pay for your home in today's market? Let them answer, because they're not going to say that the number they want. I've never had actually a seller say the number they want when I ask that question. Kind of puts them in reality.
What are you using on showing time?
There's an awesome, if you go to, you want me to show you real quick?
Anyone else wants? Yeah.
I mean, this is the most powerful tool. Okay, so you're in showing time. We're gonna go to reports. And then you go to target market analysis. Has anybody seen this before? Okay. Give you my secrets. All right, so it comes to this page. So give me a zip code. 139. What city is that?
Solid.
So. What's an average, what is that, like 400, 350 to 450, a good price point? More? Here, let's go Ford, go 550. Is that good? Or higher? You can tell I'm not on the east side much.
Oh, okay.
So then you can break it down by 5, 10, 25. So we'll go $10,000 increments. We'll hit submit, and then there's all your active buyers in those price points. So when I'm on my listing appointment, let's just say they want to be, let's just say they want to be at 500. And I know that they're a 470 house. Okay. So, well, Mr. Seller, here's all the active buyers in your price point right now. Do you think it's going to benefit us by pricing above where most of the buyers are or below? I go, so strategically, now I've already showed them the data, and I know we're getting into something different than negotiations, but I guess this is negotiations. So I already showed them the comps and everything, and I know where their house should be. And let's just say it's 470. When I ask them that question, where would you want to price your house based on where the buyers are and based on the information they show you, I show them 9 times out of 10, they're picking where the majority of the buyers are. And I said, that's perfect. I go, and you know why that's so important is because now we're going to attract all of these buyers in this price point and potentially all these buyers up in here. So we're going to get the most exposure on your house so that we can drive as much traffic as possible and potentially put it into multiple offers. But when you show this along with your other data, this is eye-opening for them because you start pricing it too high, your numbers get lower and lower. Trend graphics data? You guys have that? You have that?
Yeah, can you show us how to get that one?
Yeah. Do you guys have that at Libby? Okay.
So for this, all you put in the price point and stuff?
Yeah, so all you do, you put your price range, you put your zip code, and then change the increment, because you can do, I always try to keep it within 75,000 and $100,000 price range, and then break it down by $5,000 increments. But then if I start getting too high, like if I start getting into like $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 homes, I'll do a broader price point and do it in $10,000 increments, because that's how you're probably going to price it at that point. Cool. Helpful?
Yeah.
And then you said trend graphics?
Do you pay for this?
This is part of the market center. So you guys have access to all that.
Password that I tried didn't work, so I think they sent it to the email.
Okay.
I don't know, I'll find it and share it with you.
So, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just trend graphics with an X. And ask, they get this from you or somebody else?
Yeah, near you.
Okay.
So
So
Danielle.
ask Ricky or Danielle. They'll get you the login information. But this, and there's so much you can do in here. And there's a lot you can do in showing time too. But just to keep this simple for now, I just go to city. I pick my city, so I'm just gonna pick Strongsville. Actually, you know what? I'll do Solon since we were talking about Solon, so we can compare the data. All residential properties. Now you can get into changing some of this if you have to narrow down your criteria a little bit, but I leave it broad because right now there's not even that much to really go off of. So this shows you now the trends for Solon. So I show them the trends. Summer months are inventory peaks, winter months it comes down, and we have that seasonality. Then it goes back up in the spring, summer months. So light green is new active listings, dark green is sold, red line is what went active or what went under contract or pending. So I show them this so they can get a perspective of where inventory levels are and how demand is keeping up with supply. Okay, so then I'll go a step further to this. And we got August over July, but then we got month over month here. So today versus last month, we're actually down in inventory 22%. So Mr. Seller, now is an optimal time probably for you to get your house on the market because we're not competing with as much inventory as we were a month ago. Solds are down 18%, but pending's also down 18%. So the other important thing is buyer activity has dropped significantly, more than the inventory. So based on this, what's this telling me? What's that? Not quite yet, but you're going in the right direction. So my conversation would be, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, based on this, what I'm seeing is that I know you're probably familiar with the market earlier in the year where things were selling really fast and sometimes in multiple offers. Well, buyer activity is down. So the chances of that happening right now are a little bit less. So I just want to set the right expectation that this could take longer than a weekend or a week. And it could take maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. Okay. And if that happens, we're going to discuss what that looks like based on the feedback we're getting and the type of showings we're getting. Awesome tool though. Use it in your listing presentations. Learn it though. Like don't walk in and never have shown this before. Because my wife, I've done this with her and she's taken this on listing appointments dozens and dozens of times. And she still gets stumbled up sometimes because she can't interpret it the right way. And that's not a knock on her. She'll tell you the same thing. She gets confused with graphs. So make sure you study it and understand how to explain it before you walk into a listing appointment and try it for the first time and don't know what you're talking about.
And say, like, wording. That's one.
Grab a partner and print different cities and start interpreting what you see.
I can explain that. Pending by, I just,
Yeah, so the red line is pending, so that's what went under contract or pending,
okay.
okay? Now, this line can be, it's higher than for sale, the for sale. So the important thing with the green bar, which is active listings, that's new active listing. It's not including what's been on the market already. Okay,
So then what is that saying, like 625?
so that's June of 2025. So we had 28 homes on the market, 35 went under contract, and 37 sold. So at that time, demand was outweighing supply. But now it's shifted, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. You can, they're up here, if you go up to the top, you can pull days on market, average price per square foot. So you can play with this and pull all different kinds of data. But don't go too deep sometimes because you'll lose people. Go ahead.
You just brought up a good point. We did a class on this, so just know that when you're looking at your classes, this is definitely an important one to
Yeah.
sit in on. Because I think who ran it? Yeah, Rick did it. He
Oh,
went
yeah.
through the entire thing and did all the tricks and kind of taught you and walked through it with everyone. So get to classes.
Is that,
So trend graphics, showing time, play with the reports, play with these graphs. You'll learn a lot. Grab a partner. It's better to mess up on them than go out to a listing appointment and mess it up on a seller. Okay.
Can you just go back around to, we were talking about possession time, and you
Yeah.
said that there were more factors involved that increases the cost of possession time, taxes, utilities, and there were a couple other things that you said that I didn't.
Oh, yeah, so what I meant by that is for your seller is if something's going awry in the deal and they want to back out of the deal and go back to the market, it's getting them to understand what other costs they're still not thinking of that play into the whole thing. So if you go back to the market, there's a chance we may not get this price, but you also still have your living expenses in this house. You have your mortgage, you have your taxes, you have your utilities. So factoring, because they don't factor that stuff in. They're just thinking about that dollar amount and not the other costs involved with living in the house.
Okay, thank you.
Especially if they have another house already.
We just have to go, closing got delayed by like a month and a half. And that's one thing that we asked that, hey, for the sellers, you guys at the BIOS would put all the utilities in their name
Yeah,
and the homeowners insurance before closing. So,
yeah. Yeah, it adds up. Great question, though.
and they pay for taxes too.
Yeah,
Just one quick
Go ahead.
question in terms of things to negotiate, with the buyer's commission now, and seller, how is that presented, or how, that's very different from the past.
are you asking how to negotiate that?
I'm just wondering if it's presented as any unique issues for you, or how, are you
it-
finding that you have to negotiate with the sellers to pick up some of that, or?
Not typically. So when I see the offer, my sellers are always offering commission. So, it's either, it's never less than 2%. And if I can get them to agree to a 3-2 like it was, I'm getting the 3-2. Now, if the buyer's agent doesn't ask me and they just write it in, then I'm reviewing that, and I'm not even bringing that to my seller. I'm negotiating that with the agent up front. And I'm saying, hey, thank you for the offer. Before I even present this, I'm just letting you know that they are offering 2% or 3-2, not 3%. I just want to make sure that's going to be okay before we move forward. And I have never had an agent pushback. So,
I think at this point, we're just excited that they're offering something.
right, yeah. Good question, though. Anything else? Was this beneficial? Did you guys learn some stuff?
Yeah.
Best class you've had yet? I'm gonna do a shameless plug for myself. So this is KW Next Gen. The mission is to empower and equip the next generation of leaders and entrepreneurs with tools needed to remove limiting beliefs, take action, and live a big life. Tina took this class with me a couple months ago. So thank you, Tina. We've had it here. We're probably going to be doing another one of these. It's called Quantum Leap. And I'm an instructor, and I'm actually the regional ambassador for a region for KW Next Gen. So if you see this on the calendar, please come to it. It is an amazing, life-changing course. It's an all-day class. I promise you will get so much out of it. And we have a lot of fun. We have some breakthroughs, but everything stays in this room. So please, if you see it, sign up. It doesn't cost you anything, except fun.
You know about when you're gonna do it?
We're trying to figure out some dates right now. It's probably gonna be towards the end of October, early November. Yes.
The calendar's filling up fast. And they get that date.
We'll get it. I'm talking with Ed, and I are trying to figure out what works. So
And if you're not under 30,
you can be any age. So our goal is so everybody needs to hear this stuff. Like
it says under 30, I just.
so that's for some of the things that they offer is like the scholarships and things is for, they target the young adults. But our goal here in the region is to get as many agents in the room of any age, so that if you know people, nephews, friends that have kids, your kids, to start saying, hey, you guys got to get in this room. And that's the goal, is to impact KW agents first, so that then we can reach the young adult.
Everybody is impacted, no matter what age.
Yeah.
And